The United States military just killed 8 narco-terrorists in the Eastern Pacific, not arrested, killed. Lethal kinetic strikes ordered directly by the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, on vessels confirmed to be trafficking drugs along known cartel routes. And while the smoke was clearing, President Trump signed an executive order that changes everything. Fentanyl is now officially classified as a weapon of mass destruction. The cartels just found out America's done playing defense, but here's the part that should make your blood boil. Wait until you hear about how the Democrats responded, because here's what's at stake. You see, fentanyl's killed more Americans than most wars. It's poisoned communities from coast to coast. And for years, the border was wide open while the cartels operated with near impunity. Well, that era clearly is over. On December 15th, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted strikes on 3 cartel vessels in international waters. 8 narco-terrorists eliminated, 3 in the first vessel, 2 in the second, 3 in the third. This is Operation Southern Spear, and it is not a drill, folks. More than 25,000 service members have deployed in this historic operation. Border crossings have plummeted to the lowest level since 1970. Over 2.5 million illegal aliens have been removed. For 7 straight months, 0 have been released into the interior. Border czar Tom Homan, what did he say? He said, with a secure border, lives are being saved every single day. Sex trafficking has collapsed. Fentanyl flows plummeting. This is what enforcement looks like. But we got some breaking news for your gut health this holiday season. Between the office parties, the family gatherings, and the rich holiday foods, your digestive system is taking a beating. That's why I want to tell you about Good Brew. I take it every single morning. It's the only probiotic that survives in your hot morning coffee. The co-founder nearly called 911 when severe acid reflux caused food to lodge in his throat. Doctors wanted him on dangerous antacids for life. Instead, he discovered this probiotic works in coffee, and within a week, his acid reflux was gone. So every holiday party, know this, it bombs your gut with sugar and booze. But every morning, you can fight back with just one little scoop. Delivers 1 billion CFUs of beneficial bacteria plus organic fiber. The website, goodbrew.com, get your free travel size, plus 10% off with code NEXTNEWS. That's GOODBRU.com. Now, let's talk about where it gets really infuriating. Well, American forces are taking out narco-terrorists. House Democrats introduced a resolution. Are you ready for this? Demanding the military stand down against designated terrorist organizations. I'm going to say that again. While families bury loved ones poisoned by fentanyl, Democrats are filing paperwork to protect their supply chain. Senator Mark Kelly, remember, one of the seditious 6, openly complained that killing these traffickers doesn't make America safer because they're only moving cocaine instead of fentanyl. How can you, what? Oh, it's just cocaine. Don't worry about it. It's just cocaine. Seriously, dude? That's a sitting senator. Don't worry about the cocaine, guys. Mexico, though, they're furious about the WMD classification because it destroys their diplomatic friction. That this is just a crime instead of warfare. Representative Tim Burchett confirmed the strikes are 100% legal. Senator Tim Sheehy backed it up. The legal authority has existed for decades. You see, this is not rogue action. It's long dormant power that's finally being used. Here's Senator John Kennedy torching the Democrats for opposing Trump's narco strikes. Senator Kennedy, always the colorful one.
Are in good dictatorships. They're criminal enterprises. I agree with him. I think the White House does have a plan here. I don't think they're ready to share it yet with Congress. I think some of the people who are criticizing the president are in good faith, but a lot of them are just, I don't know, they're just masterclass dumb. I mean, what the president is doing is perfectly legal. Whether you agree with it or not's another thing, but it's perfectly illegal under the Constitution. And a lot of the people criticizing him, well, if you wanted to hide something from him, you just put it in a law book, especially the chapter on the Constitution.
Yeah. I mean, we all have seen
dictatorships. They're criminal enterprises. I agree with him. I think the White House does have a plan here. I don't think they're ready to share it yet.
Oh, and when they do, we'll be the first to report it. Democrat Virginia Senator Tim Kaine calls narco-terrorists who are smuggling illegal drugs into the U.S. struggling survivors.
Fully explain. I'd like to share with you my concerns about the individuals who've been killed, but I can't for the same reason. I'd like to share with you my concerns about the second strike that killed struggling survivors clinging to the shipwreck on September 2. But I can't fully explain why this is so outrageous, because most of what I know from a classified setting. Unlike Senator Schumer, I've not seen the video yet. I'd like to share with you my concerns about
the struggling survivors. Here's Senator Warner on the Venezuela briefing 7 hours ago.
Ask my question, but because the presentation was so long and the briefing was fairly short, I didn't get a chance to ask my question, but nothing has changed. I received no new information. It feels like, particularly in terms of the video, they're going to allow SAS to see it. I think they're trying to run out the clock in terms of holding off giving it to the rest of the senators, so the Senate doesn't see it before we break for the holidays. I also find it more than disturbing that the requests I've made, and others, in a bipartisan way, execution order, or the after action report, from the legal opinion that was around this specific strike on September 2nd, and for that matter, whether the overarching policy document was changed between September 2nd and it was actually written on September 5th. I got none of those answers. And as somebody who has cautioned my colleagues about making accusations, because once you make some of these accusations, you can't get them back. It's been more than frustrating to think that the documentation that might lend to their case, why they're not willing to give it to us. I do believe that General Kaine, the chairman of Joint Chiefs, would like to share that. I think the person, again, who, whether it's the video or sharing the documentation, holding this back is Pete Hegseth. That because the presentation was so long and
Let's keep going. House Democrats introduced a resolution to force the U.S. military to stand down against a designated terrorist organization. Oh, my goodness. If you need any more clarification on whose side they're on, look no further. Democrats are siding with the terrorists. Yeah, it would be funny if it wasn't so true. The concurrent resolution, HCON Res 61, introduced. Tim Burchett has been briefed by Rubio and Hegseth, confirmed the strikes are legit and legal.
Rubio. Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, just leaving the briefing with Secretary Hegseth and Secretary Rubio and military leaders about the legality of these strikes on these drug dealers that are pumping poison into our streets. I was glad to hear it. It's actually a three-tier system. Can't go into all the details, but every step of the way there's lawyers making sure that what they're doing is legal. What the press isn't reporting is that there's several of these have just been introductions where they just seized the boats and the drugs and nobody got killed because one of those three areas was not did not fulfill that, so they just had to stop them. And guess what? Every one of them, they were carrying drugs, but they couldn't prove that they were part of a terrorist organization or otherwise. So I'm very well, very pleased. Oddly enough, I think they've killed it's less than 100 drug dealers or pushers or whatever you want to call them. In that, it's about averages. It seems like about a little over 3 people per strike, and in that time, you just can't imagine the thousands of people that have lost their lives or had to get Narcan and go back. But anyway, thank y'all for sitting here. Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, just leaving the...
I like Tim Burchett. I like that guy. He's a straight talker, man. Tim Sheehy just destroyed the radical Democrats who were trying to prevent Trump from stopping harmful drugs pouring into the United States. The process we have is legally sound. Been supported by legal opinions for a quarter century.
And to go after brave men and women in uniform who are conducting these attacks is to indict the very system that was used bipartisanly for the last 24 years. I personally was involved in many of these operations, from kinetic strikes to direct action operations. And the process we have is legally sound. It's been supported by legal opinions for a quarter century now of how we find these people, we fix them, and we finish them. And keep in mind, if we don't drop a bomb and we decide to interdict, as is being said by many folks, we have an obligation to send a team to interdict. When we make that decision, you're putting our lives at risk. You're putting Americans' lives at risk. Just about a year and a half ago, you remember 2 SEALs were killed interdicting a vessel at night in the Red Sea. Interdicting a vessel underway is perhaps the most dangerous mission we have in our entire military inventory. When we task our commandos to go out and attack a vessel underway, that's an incredibly high-risk mission. So when folks say, well, we should be interdicting, that's easy for you to say here in this building between 2 cups of cappuccinos. It's a lot harder to send that 24-year-old operator out there who's got a wife and kids and tell him in the middle of the night you got to fast up out of a helicopter, scuba dive under a ship, climb up the side of that, and fight your way onto a vessel, because we're more worried about the lives of drug dealers than we are our own people. And that's a high-risk mission, to go after brave men and women. And
let's take a look. Here's President Trump. Let's see where he's talking about. Where is he here? In the Oval Office. Here's the fentanyl declaration.
Deadly fentanyl. Today I'm taking one more step to protect Americans from the scourge of deadly fentanyl flooding into our country. With this historic executive order I will sign today, we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
Let's go.
Which is what it is. No bomb does what this is doing. 200 to 300,000 people die every year that we know of. So we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. Today I'm taking...
President Trump nailed it. Democrats used to say...
Nice people, the Democrats and others, the radical left, used to say that the people they're allowing into our country, immigrants, are nice people. They're not violent like our people. Well, they make our people look like babies. These are some of the most violent criminals anywhere on earth. From many countries, not just Venezuela. Venezuela emptied their jails into our country. But others have also. The Congo has. So many other countries have. And we don't put up with it. I have to say the drugs coming in by sea are down 94%. Democrats and others, the radical.
Let's keep going through what we have here. Tom Homan destroy. Oh, we got. Wait. These are always fun to watch. Boom! Bye bye. This is U.S. Southern Command. Damn! Look at that fireball. Oh, we got color. Holy cow! At the direction of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted lethal kinetic strikes on 3 vessels operated by designated terrorist organizations in international waters. Intelligence confirmed the vessels were transiting along known trafficking routes. Bye-bye. Say hi to David Jones. Here's Tom Homan.
Crap. I want to make something perfectly clear, because we get attacked all the time being inhumane. The Biden administration is much more humane. It's a bunch of crap. Because there's been studies done that 31% of women that make that journey through the cartels get sexually assaulted. They get raped. And not just the women, children too. I've done numerous investigations in that. Sex trafficking was historic highs with that open border. Fentanyl, historic highs that killed 250,000 Americans. No inspector terrorists that came across the border. Record, historic. What happened under the Biden administration was the most inhumane thing I've seen in my lifetime. Now that the border is 96% decline, 96% less people are coming, how many women aren't being raped? How many children aren't dying making that journey? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked into this country every day? How many known suspected terrorists aren't just walking across that border? President Trump and this administration is saving thousands of lives every month. Hard stop. That's just a stone cold fact. I'm just proud to be a part of this. I work with Steve Miller every day. Steve Miller is one of the most brilliant people I've met in my entire life. President Trump brought together one hell of a team here, and the success proves. We all working together, one team, one fight. We're not done yet. We're going to keep going, and I guarantee you we can continue saving thousands and thousands of lives. Secure border means strong national security. Secure border saves lives.
The cartel shield is breaking. The enforcement state is reasserting itself. And the people who spent years telling you nothing could be done are being exposed as collaborators, obstructionists, or cowards. President Trump didn't sugarcoat it. He called these invaders some of the most violent criminals on earth. And now he's backing it up with force. The strikes happened. The executive order signed. Fentanyl now a weapon of mass destruction. And the war to dismantle the narco-terror economy has officially gone kinetic. There is no going back. So what you just witnessed is the full-scale collapse of the global drug state protection racket. The masks are off, the excuses are gone, and the United States is finally acting like it's under attack, because it is. For years, the political class enabled the cartels. The border was the delivery mechanism. The poison flowed. American families buried their children, and Washington shrugged. Not anymore. 8 more narco-terrorists dead. Military strikes authorized. Fentanyl, a weapon of mass destruction. And House Democrats respond by demanding our troops stand down. Think about that. They're not even hiding it anymore. They're openly running interference for narco-terrorists while American kids die from poisoned pills. The cartel war has begun, and now we know exactly who's on which side, because President Trump drew the line. The military crossed it, and the cartels just learned that America fights back. So here's my question for the comment section. Should Democrats who obstruct cartel enforcement be investigated? Maybe they're connected to it somehow. Maybe check their bank accounts. Drop a yes or no. And while you're there, check out our merch shop and support our work. It's linked below.